Hey, Limitless fam. Just showing up to a Boise Underground meeting. We're about to be talking a little bit, I'm sure getting a review also on the discipleship cohort that just started up this past Sunday. If you were not able to make that, I encourage you to make it. I heard there were about 20 different participants there who were there, and it's just really great practical tips and outlines on how to be a disciple that makes disciples. And it's a cohort, so we're walking through things and then we're putting those things into practice, coming back and sharing them. Again, this past week I was sharing how so often the things that seem to really work in disciple making movements is when you're walking through things with others, and there's that fellowship and accountability where we're saying, hey, we're going to do this, and then we're doing it and we're talking about it together and we're growing in those things together. So ladies, I know you were going to be joining into a group chat. Guys, I'm about to send out a group chat for us too, just so that we can encourage each other in that way. As we were talking about just even this past Sunday, those three things that I encourage us all to be praying for, be praying our kids for, which was a good reputation, being filled with the Spirit, and then being filled with wisdom. Those are the things that we saw from Stephen and those other deacons that were chosen. And as we were talking about that, this great conversation came up about how the apostles were saying they could not abandon the ministry of the word and what they were doing to wait on tables, and just kind of how like that wording kind of rub us. And really we came to talk about, and I've never put it this way before, I'm glad this came up in conversation, but really just that idea of not abandoning your post. The apostles understood their post, what God had assigned them to, and this ministry towards the widows was so important and so good that it could have been tempting to step away and to make sure that was covered, but they knew they could not abandon their post. So it wasn't something where they're, that's beneath us, we're gonna put some other people who aren't quite at our level on it. Because, sorry, we got a truck driving by. It's trash day for somebody. But they selected men of high reputation, filled with the Spirit, filled with wisdom, men who were doing things similar to what they were doing, as we see with Stephen later on in the chapter, because he's working wonders. He's preaching in ways that people can't refute. And so we see that these men were not subpar men that they put on the task, but they realized, hey, this is my post. I need to be faithful to my post, and we're going to pray and we're going to trust God to supply men for this other post. And that's a challenge for us, even in where we're at. I believe God has placed each of us where we are intentionally, whether that's our neighborhoods, whether that is our workplaces, our schools, the teams that we play on, the friend groups that we gather with. These are posts that God has assigned us to, and I want us to be praying for those posts, those people, those places, those problems, and make sure that we are manning our post well, because there will be great opportunities that arise. And I know I admitted sometimes I can have this struggle if I see these great ideas and things, and sometimes I need to be brought back to focus on my post, right? On those things that God has assigned me to, that I'm at, and place those as higher priority and stick with them. And so I encourage you guys to pray about that. What is your post? Those people, places, and problems, and know that it may be just the neighborhood you live in, the teams that you're on, that God has given us these things and placed us in these places intentionally, and we have a post, we have a responsibility to pray for those. All right, love you guys. Also remember that there is that We Will Go youth event happening tonight over at 10 Mile. That is another great opportunity to be praying and talking about how our students can take up that post at their schools. All right, so check that out, and look forward to seeing you guys again this next Sunday. Love you.